Welcome back, everybody, to the Dusty Bender Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chance Watson. With you, as always, Taylor Wells. Episode 131 coming at you guys today, recording on a chilly Friday afternoon, Friday night, coming at you January 5th. And Taylor, the United States has the greatest hockey team in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
And it will always be that way.
That's right. Full stop. End sentence.
Yep.
That is going to be the topic that we lead off with today. And as you guys can see, I'm sporting my 1980 U.S. Olympic team. We didn't beat the Soviets this time around, so I don't think it's not the Olympics, and it's only kids. But other than all that other stuff, this is a great day for America.
Yeah, I think Mitchkov maybe would have put up a little bit of a fight, but
perhaps.
I don't know who else they have.
And all the best Canadian players were playing in the NHL. But other than all of that,
yeah, minor details.
Yeah, minor details, not a big deal. They don't ask how, they ask how many. And right now, the United States has a gold medal. Talking lots of shit to Swedish fans that don't understand the shit talking, most likely. But you know what? Don't care. So we'll get into details in a second. But before we get into our ads, I just want to say, sucks to be you, Sweden, and Ricky, our old friend that we played college hockey with. And I don't really know your system of government, so I'm gonna assume to say that your king sucks.
King sucks.
I don't know.
Ricky.
Yeah. You and your king can go eat cheese or something. I don't know what they do in Sweden.
Ludwigfest.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. Yeah. I don't.
Pancakes, little tiny thin Swedish pancakes.
Is that what I think they call them crepes?
Well, yeah, it's basically like the Swedish version of crepes. My grandpa was full Swedish.
Okay.
So yeah, I've had all that stuff. I was all Swedish. I was no Finnish. Yeah.
So you celebrate Leif Erikson Day?
Well, yeah, every year. Everybody does.
Boy, that is a very obscure SpongeBob reference. Like if you got that, then you are definitely like born in the early 90s. Like like yes. if you are a Gen Zer or like born in like the mid to late 90s, you're gonna be like, who the fuck is Leif Erikson and why does he have a day? You're also gonna be really confused when I go hinga dinga daringen. Okay, look it up. Yeah. Just go right now. Pause us and go onto YouTube and look up SpongeBob Leif Erikson Day, and you'll be caught up.
People are probably already on YouTube, so
most likely
just cue it up.
Most likely, yes. All right, real quick, we'll get out some shout outs here, folks. We need to give a shout out to Monterey Cafe. Folks, Monterey Cafe is the premier karaoke bar in downtown Spokane. Shout out to Jeff and all the folks down at Monterey. Love them. Absolutely have a great time there. Some of the best pizza that you can find in town. Very affordably priced. And guess what? They've got weekly specials. Nice. Tuesday's going to be Twisted Tea Tuesdays. Twisted Teas for $4. Twisted Arnold shots for $6. Those are very potent. Please be cautious when you take those. And speaking from experience, don't drop your Twisted Tea shot into your Twisted Tea. It's a really bad idea. It's a terrible hangover. Don't do it. All right.
Boo.
It's not a good idea. It's delicious, and you can drink it real fast, and then you feel like that you got diabetes. So
such a quitter, dude.
Oh man, I finished it, but I don't know if I'm ever doing it again. White Claw Wednesdays, White Claws for $4 each. That's going to be Deep Thursdays and free painting, like free palette painting in the back. Flavor Fridays, go up and ask the bartender. So a random flavor from the bar, $6 drink. Shotski Saturdays, 4 people, 4 shots, $10. That's from 5 to 8 p.m. And then Sundays is industry night, open mic and jam from 5:30 to 8. And karaoke starts at 8. Industry special is $4 for your first drink, because we know that those folks in the industry like to sometimes partake in a beverage or two. So we're not going to give you all your drinks for cheap anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. All right. Also, we need to give a shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network. They're our main sponsors. We are very happy to be and appreciative of the Hockey Podcast Network. Jump on over to their website, thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, and check out all the very many, many, many wonderful shows that we have. If you are a hockey fan and you follow a specific team, there's probably a show for you. And if you just like listening to hockey talk in general, there's plenty of shows for that. The Terry Ryan Show, very entertaining. If you guys don't know who Terry Ryan is, he plays Ted Hitchcock in the acclaimed show Shoresy. All right, R.I.P. Letterkenny last season came out. It wasn't bad.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just moved on to Shoresy now.
That's true. Yeah, and honestly, it's Shoresy is
it's beautiful.
It's a work of art, really. It's so fucking good. Also, last but not least, let's talk about the Hub Tavern here, folks. And I'm going to save a lot of the schmoozing for the Hub because we're going to talk about the Winter Classic here in a second. But, folks, the Hub Tavern is the premier hockey bar in Spokane, one of my favorite dives I've ever been to of all time. I mean that in a good way, not in a bad way. Go on in there, part of the Anchor Alliance. Say that Dusty Bender Podcast sent you. Say hi to Dave and Mona for us. And go in, partake. It's a cash bar, so bring some squids.
Ooh, play a little NHL hits. I know we say that every time, but man, I'm craving it.
Yes, there's some regulars in the bar that will bring in one of those old box TVs and hook up an old GameCube to play some NHL hits, man. That was
beautiful.
Oof. That's a good time. But yes, got to get into that here in a little bit when we're talking about the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
Taylor, you went to this game, right?
I was there, baby. I was in the building.
All right, before we break down the game, how was the ambiance? How was the feel? Did you feel like it was a monumental thing?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was by far the best hockey game I've ever been to. And there's just something about like outdoors is one thing, but I mean, I think it can hold like almost 50,000 fans at the Mariners stadium. Yep. So it's just a whole different vibe. There's people fucking everywhere. Like it was unreal, and everybody, surprisingly, right? Like even with the amount of Vegas fans, it was probably 80 to 20, I would say. So mostly
That's
Kraken
pretty good,
fans.
though. That's
pretty good. So there was a good amount of Vegas fans. Not a lot of, like, really not a lot of hostility. So like I mean you just really never know what it's going to look like. So
they probably should have picked. They probably should have picked Colorado instead of Vegas. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, there was still a good amount. There was still a good amount of Vegas fans that bought those ugly fucking white Winter Classic jerseys for them too.
I got a buddy that had. When you invest into a jersey that's slated for one specific game, man, you're really rolling the dice because they're never going to wear that jersey again. Well, I mean, okay, there's rare occasions where teams will wear those Winter Classic jerseys like on occasion, but more often than not, those jerseys are going to be forever associated with that one game.
Right.
So, like if you already bought those god awful cream V jerseys. I even hated saying it.
Terrible.
So terrible. It's now forever associated because they're not going to wear them again.
No.
So it's associated with the one time they got shut out in Seattle.
Right. And they got freaking crunched. Like it really wasn't even it was pretty much one-sided until the third where Vegas was like, "Oh, fuck."
Right. Oh, we might actually lose this game.
Yeah, we're going to lose. So, but yeah, I mean overall it was great. They set it up so good. I mean, they had they had a little pond area. The kids were skating. They had, live music was set up. They had, obviously the where the teams came out, right? They had the dock set up.
That's cool.
It was just all around. It was super, super cool. So yeah, really good setup. We were with a good group of folks, and yeah, there was one Vegas fan in front of me that probably like we didn't see them after the first period, and I take full responsibility for that. But yeah, I mean, it was a damn good time. They did a really good job, and I saw a lot of people basically on Twitter and stuff like that saying like, oh, if you didn't think Seattle was a hockey town, now you do. Like it really was like Seattle's coming out party. It was great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, really good setup.
It's good to hear that was the vibe on the ground because outside of the, people that aren't invested into it, people aren't on the ground, people who aren't like in the vibe of the game and whatnot, all they can go off of is like general vibes from outside. And we're hockey fans. We listen to a lot of varying perspectives, and all the people that don't care about Seattle and they just watch the Winter Classic because it was the Winter Classic, they said it was meh, and the
Yeah.
ratings were meh. And to be honest, it was a pretty slow game for the most part. Seattle
Hmm.
was mostly in control. We can get into the
Yeah.
game here in a second, but I mean, from the outside perspective, like even what from a production standpoint, man, everything went over like well. And even
It was
watching
great.
it from, so I watched it from the hub, and like everything, like I got to see the whole like Bowie Biz fight, like that was
Mm.
live, and I'm like, oh fuck, did Biz just like kill Bowie?
Just threw a haymaker at him too.
Like Bowie comes out like doing the fake punches with the fucking gloves, and I'm like, okay, that's funny. And then like they had obviously choreographed it, but man, like Biz like stiff shouldered
No,
him,
he went at him, dude.
and he kind of went down awkwardly. I'm like, ooh, like that's not like a wrestling arena where he's gonna be bouncing up. Like, it didn't look
Yeah,
very good.
I missed that. I was standing in a beer line, but
That's right,
I
right.
heard all about it. I heard it was pretty good stuff.
It was pretty funny, and from like we actually like the camera angles were cool for like when you mentioned the teams coming out, seeing them throw, those were actual salmon that they were throwing over
Mhm.
the team.
Yep, yep. In
So
between, I think what's the coolest thing, right? Is like
yes,
some of them were going overhead, but they were basically like timing it to the point where they were throwing it. Like they threw a couple behind Joey. They were kind of throwing
sure.
them in between the guys as they were coming through. So yeah, super
Seattle
cool.
Seattle fans just sitting there going like, oh god, this is so awesome. Like I hope they don't. You hope you don't screw it up. You hope somebody doesn't
Hmm.
drop one or something like that. And then every other fucking casual fan is watching, going like, I fucking hope just
I hope they hit them.
one. Yeah, someone just gets tuna slapped right in the fucking dome. Elysiak just takes a concussion.
I mean, if they're gonna hit anybody, yeah, no, it was really cool. I'm sure there's even people in Seattle that were like, like shit. We're just trying to buy our fruit at the fucking market, and we see this shit
Sure.
all the time. But
Right.
yeah, it was really cool. People were getting into it, booing the Knights as they were coming out. They booed the refs.
Nice.
It's just yeah, it was good, man. It made it feel like Seattle was actually a hockey town, right? That's the stuff you want to see from a hockey game is booing the ref, the other team, some of the stuff that they were playing and stuff like that. I will say my only negative feedback to the whole thing,
Yeah.
and I don't actually don't even know if Trunks was on the sticks, but the music was kind of subpar.
Trunks was not. He was at a DJ stage, but I from based on his tweets, he was like outside. Shout out to Trunks. We need to get
Yeah,
him on the
Trunks
show.
Trunks is the man.
He was. I know that he was like at the event, but I don't think he was running the in arena music. I think he was like outside at like a watch party or something like that.
Yeah, I think Trunks would have done it a lot better. But that's being super picky about it. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, getting to see Hart. I admittedly had to look up who Hart was, and then they played Barracuda,
Fair.
and I was like, okay, shit, like I
Right.
know
Arena
this song, but
Barracuda. Sure.
yeah, just really good setup. The riding the train in. So we parked at the SeaTac and then rode the train in, and it was just electric, man. It was great.
Yep. God, I was about to make a terrible like, oh, why didn't they ask Nirvana? But it reminded me. I remember literally like it was this young. I was at a bar and this young 21-year-old came in. I wasn't even privy to the conversation. I wasn't involved. I was just overhearing it. And this young 21-year-old had just discovered Nirvana, and Lithium was playing in the bar, and she's like, "Oh, I just started getting into everything. I really like that, but I'm really." She's talking to the bartender. She's like, I'm really liking his wife's stuff too." I'm like, "Uh-huh." She's like, "I think they're like divorced now or something." I'm like, "You could say that."
Mm, mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm. Yeah.
Sure.
Too
Why
too
not?
soon. Too soon.
Too soon. It's only been 21 years,
20
but yeah.
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
it was great. I think yeah, it just the atmosphere was great. I think One thing, a lot of the stuff that they were selling, excuse me, that they were
Yeah.
selling at the store and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff you can get online. So if you
Oh, cool.
didn't end up getting to go to the Winter Classic, there's a bunch of that kind of stuff. But yeah, overall, and a three and the first shutout of the Winter Classic. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's super cool. So let's get into the game itself. Fairly low key event. Like even people like even me, you and me who are invested can admit that it wasn't the most high intensity game.
Right.
And that mostly was because Seattle was largely in control and under this 8-0-2 run. We'll get into the Kraken's run here in a little bit, but they've been playing a lot more structured, less reckless hockey, which makes for kind of a less exciting up tempo game. But
Mhm.
shutting out the defending Stanley Cup champions is nothing to balk at. Not to mention the solid play of let's just get into it. Joey Dacker.
Yeah. Joey's the guy. There's absolutely like
Is
if
he
there
him?
yeah, I I'm getting. I mean, you never know, but it's kind of it has that feel a little bit of like a Gustafsson Aiden Hill last
Okay.
year, right? Where
Yep.
it's like, okay, how long's this run gonna go? What does this actually look like? But look, the Kraken haven't had a goaltender that can actually win them games in the regular season, and this kid's doing it, and he's doing it. I mean, I don't even know what his save percentage is over this 10 game streak, but
Point
he,
922.
yeah, I mean, but he's got a pair of shutouts in there. It just seems like one of the things that we always talked about with the goaltending in Seattle was Grubauer, Jones. These guys didn't really have this like, okay, I'm gonna make this one save that I probably shouldn't have made, and it's gonna carry momentum. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what Joey can do. Joey showed up, especially in the Winter Classic game. He showed up the whole time, and it was basically, he would make that save, even if it wasn't just completely electric. It was like, okay, let's get our legs back under us, right? Whereas
Yep.
like timely saves. So it's just not something that the Kraken have seen, and Joey is providing that for him, and it seems like the team is just following suit. So it really, I mean, is he the guy going forward? Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's
Until
until
he gives you a reason not to be.
exactly. Yep. Yep.
It's not. It's we're past the point of like I don't even think Grubauer is worth a timeshare at this point. Like,
No. No.
unfortunately, because of the money that we are paying him, he's gonna have to be at least on the bench.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wouldn't be if it was up to me, we'd throw him to waivers. But and I don't necessarily like. I'm gonna give the Kraken fan base a bit of credit here because there's a lot of Grubauer defenders out there, and I I I love the idea that we are sticking by our players even when they're bad. Like that, it does show that we like genuinely love our team and that we're not fair weather fans. Like, what have you done for me lately? Like, I still like this guy even if he's terrible. I get it. That's great and that's very admirable. And and it is a good reflection on Seattle being a hockey town and loving their team and whatnot. But that being said, you can't have that mentality if you want to win the Stanley Cup. And
Yeah.
as much as we love saying Gru and he seems like a really stand-up German gentleman kind of guy, at the end of the day, he's never posted an above 900 save percentage on this team during the regular season. He currently is not. I think the last I looked it up, it was 0.886 or 868, something along those lines.
Terrible.
Um, it's terrible. It's terrible. He's according to Money Puck, we were and I were talking about it during the Winter Classic with our producer Aaron. Uh, the guy is the ninth worst goalie in the league right
Yeah.
now. It's terrible. Whereas I think Joey is sporting a 0.922, something along those lines,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
incredible.
I just think at some point you can't look at the money. You can't look at just how much they do for the community and say this is the guy that we have to play because of this, and this.
Right.
It's got to show, right? I mean, like it's with any business. Anybody that's listening, either of us, right? If we're not doing our job and we're not producing results, I'm
Sure.
sorry. It's just not. It's not your position to continue to hold, right?
Yeah.
So, I
84 for Brew.
yeah, that's just unacceptable. So, and it's not like Gru was putting up pretty decent numbers for the last couple years. This is year 3 of very subpar goaltending.
Never posted above 900 save percentage.
Right, and anybody can have a good day. Anybody can have a bad day, right? That's
Sure.
good. I mean, the best goalies in the league will have a stinker,
And
but
is Joey going to fall back to earth eventually? Yeah, absolutely. Like there's no
yeah,
way that he's not like we love the run that he's on and we love the guy and he is arguably the goaltender of the future,
sure,
but he's I mean he's not going to be a 9 he's got to be he's not going to be a .930 goalie, the rest of the way. Like he'll average out and he'll probably hover in the low 900s and that's fine.
yeah. But
Like
I think the difference between a Grubauer and a Joey is Grubauer is not only had his opportunity, but he's getting older, right? So
right.
he's getting into that point where it's like, okay, what have you done for me, right? Whereas Joey is 27 years old, right? He still has a potential to turn into a number one goalie, right?
Yep.
And he has shown in the AHL the last couple of years that he can put that maybe he is figuring it out, right? So it just hasn't quite up until this recent run translated into the NHL. But man, alive! I mean, you just for me, when Grubauer will be sitting on the bench, but it needs to be an 80-20 split, right?
It
There's
it
just for
shouldn't be
10
that
games.
because Drieger has earned the backup spot.
And Drieger has only had I think one or two
Yeah,
starts, but like decent starts, right? So
right.
like
He's been
might as
fine in
well run
limited
with those
minutes.
two.
Better than
Right.
I was having a very polite disagreement with the Davy Jones folks on Twitter, and they were trying to say like, oh, you can't. The success isn't all on just Joey, and it's
I
like
don't disagree.
that's not wrong. But
Right.
do you really think? Do you first off, do you think we would have won the Winter Classic with Grubauer in goal? And if your answer is not absolutely yes, then what are we talking about?
Yeah. And that's as we were walking out of the stadium. Actually, Aaron and I were talking about it. There's a very good chance it would have been 4-3,
Yeah,
right? It's just not only the way that he's been playing, not only the way that the team's been playing in front of him, but it feels like Joey has the backing of the boys in front of him, right? And
they're
so
confident to play in front of him
right,
to actually play more they can take risks and actually like play offense
right,
because with Gru it's more of like a panicked like if we don't stop this guy from shooting he's scoring
right.
and it's always and it's you and I have been in those moments too like where it's a close game. How many times have we watched a Kraken game where it's that make or break save, like okay, the game's tied or we're only down by one and or we just scored a goal, and we're finally getting the momentum back, and then Gru immediately fucking gives up the next goal.
Yeah, and I
Like
think
it's happened
yeah.
more times than I can count.
And there's just, I mean, there's the benefit of having played the game, right?
Yeah.
I can think back to pretty much every goaltender I've had in my playing days, and there's just a different, like, you just don't have that anxiety
Right.
of knowing that all five of your forwards and your D need to get back because you have to play the best defense you can because your goalie is going to let in a squeaker, right? And I
Or
think
or we have to score 4 goals tonight or we're gonna lose.
Right. And I think it's just a huge, huge mentality of being able to say, okay, I can go a little bit harder in the offensive zone, potentially pot one, but if I don't, and I let up a 3-on-2, it's technically a 3-on-3. It's not a 3-on-2, right? Like I think
Right.
it's just that mindset. So yeah, there's no excuse. Another thing that we have talked about, and it'll be interesting to see, is when that starting goalie does come back, and we see these backups that have played well in their absence. There's always that potential to kind of almost mess with the goalie tandem or room, right? Where that backup starts to go, oh shit, the big boy's back,
Mhm.
right? And then you kind of start to see their game falter a little bit, and it'll be interesting to kind of keep an eye on that. But I think Joey gets every single opportunity for me
He needs to.
until that
Like
until
the
Grubauer
remaining
steals a game, and they go
even
back and
then.
forth. So
No, even then,
yeah,
in my estimation needs to be like an 80-20 split for the remainder of the season.
yeah,
In my
yeah,
and it's because Joey's earned it.
yeah,
Joey's earned it. Grubauer has not. The only reason that he's even if Grubauer was making Drieger money, Grubauer would be in the AHL right now.
yeah,
Like literally
probably.
the only thing that keeps him on that bench is his contract.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just, and that's the thing. It's like, looking at it, right? You can't Jack Campbell every goalie that's making 5.5, 6 million, right?
No,
It's just very, very difficult for NHL rosters to do that. But and they won't, right? Driga will be the odd man out. That's just the way it's going
and
to
that's
be.
so
And
to that point, Drieger's probably getting traded because
yeah,
he's on. I
yeah,
believe he's on an expiring contract. They're not going to give him like he's good enough to be. He's an NHL caliber goalie. He shouldn't be sitting in AHL Coachella.
yeah. He's definitely
Now
a
is
backup.
right. He'll go. Fuck. I mean, there's enough rumors right now, and we can segue into the Samsonov situation for a second. Like there's right now, Martin Jones is the cemented number one starting goaltender in Toronto for at least the foreseeable future, like for a month or two. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Until
because
Justin Wool comes back. Yeah,
yeah, Justin Wool is currently injured. It like they keep saying it's 3 to 4 weeks, but they've been saying 3 to 4 weeks for like 2
3 to
weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. The rumor is that it's a high ankle sprain. Shit's not easy to recover from, especially if you're goalie. So you're whatever. So they're on the mercy now of Martin Jones, who, as Kraken fans, we are familiar with Martin Jones pulling spectacular games out of his fucking ass.
Mm,
But also, our experience is how long can Jones keep this up? Because he can only do it for so long.
right.
So it's Toronto's thing of like, okay, do we just hope that we can, he's gonna keep it going before Wall comes back, or do we make a trade? And I know that there's a lot of goalies out there that have, fucking Jake Allen, man, that guy, he's gonna claw his way back into a competing team somehow.
Love it.
But there's enough teams that would consider themselves competitors right now that need goaltending. Like Carolina's fucking hurting too.
Yeah.
So there's teams out there that they could get a market for, and I just don't. I mean, I'm sure Seattle would love to keep Drieger, but at the same time, you signed a deal with the devil, so to speak. Not to insinuate that Grubauer is a devil, but you know,
Right. Right.
in any case. But yeah, real quick on to wrap up kind of the Kraken. So 8-0-2, very impressive run the last 10 games. It's less impressive when it kind of just offsets their previous 10-game losing streak or something.
Mm, yeah.
So I mean, it kind of just balances out the bad stretch that they had over the month of, I think it was November or December, somewhere in there. Um, there is an argument to be made that the turning point. I want to hear your thoughts on this. The Thomas Tatar trade.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think he's been better than I think a lot of people expected. But I think I did see a pretty funny one. I think the 8-0-2 really started right around when the Adam Larson shirts with the bowl cut, when
Yeah,
those came out. So
yeah,
somebody posted that. I should have wrote down who it was, give them a little shout out. But yeah, like their record since the Adam Larson bowl cut shirts, the whole team wore them, is the turning point for me. So
it's
yeah,
just
just
fantastic.
awesome, just awesome.
It does seem like the vibes with this team are they're in high spirits. It seems like they're happy with their team. I think it was Dunn who was in an interview who was talking like, look, man, a lot of our losses were 1 goal games in overtime. We've
Hmm.
been dealing with a lot of injuries. This is the first time we've been healthy pretty much all year. They seemed confident instead of like that defeatist mentality of like, oh, we just got to keep battling. He was legitimately saying like, well, there's logical reasons to why we just haven't had our shit together yet. um but I think, and Tatar has been, 3 goals, 2 assists in 8 games for Tatar.
It's nice,
Skating on the first line with Eberle and
Maddie.
Matty Beniers, and it's I think it's helped Matty a little bit. I think it's helped Eberle a little bit. And it takes pressure off McCann. I think
Hmm.
we all love McCann. We've said it 1,000 times in the show. He's not a 40-goal scorer. He's more closer to a 30-goal scorer. But when the team's not scoring, because he set that precedent last year, all eyes go to him of like, all right, Canner, get us a fucking goal.
Yeah,
And that's just not something that you can expect from him every game. So
yeah,
unfortunately, that's not good. But as we saw from the Winter Classic, we're finally seeing the strengths from last year. We're getting depth scoring. Who it was Tolvanen, fucking Will Borgen of all people,
That
and
snipe
yeah, it just a
and
fucking and Yanni
Gord and Yanni. Yep.
Yanni Gord. So we're finally getting depth scoring, which is incredible.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, the last thing I'll say, the Kraken, the systems seem better, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing. That's a big part of it. It's probably where Davy Jones was kind of coming at, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, the defense looked a lot better. Brian Dumoulin didn't look like an absolute fucking slug out there.
Right.
He looked like he could actually remembered how to play a little bit of defense. So I think just all in all, there's still those couple mistakes, but you're gonna see that even with some of the better teams. So it's just it really was good.
And this all comes full circle. Like this defense, you and I have never minced words on it. It's average to mediocre.
Hmm.
And like you said, there's going to be those mistakes, but to come full circle, now we have a goalie that's there to bail the defense out.
Right, and they don't need to
Whereas
be bailed out all the time, but
correct, but
sometimes.
they sometimes, and with Grubauer, it was never. Like if
Right.
the defense made a mistake, the puck's going to the back of the net.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a goalie back there that you can have confidence in, that like you're not necessarily always worried about if I fucking make one mistake, the puck's in the back of the net. You've got somebody there to bail you out. So that's good. Kraken heading in a good direction. Let's hope that they can continue it.
Yep.
Um,
Cool.
Speaking of, a good segue to talk about Vegas for a hot second, because they're not doing so hot, Taylor.
They really are not. We kind of talked about them even on the last podcast.
Yep.
It's just they're struggling a little bit. I mean, you're gonna see this, right? They're gonna have every team's gonna have their ebbs and flows. But yeah, lost 6 of last 7, and they've been outscored 27-14. That is not great. That
No.
is just not good.
I mean, was it sustainable? They came out with that like 11 game winning streak in the beginning. Like, was that just no? Of course, they were going to fall back to earth, and I think they are dealing with
A
some
little bit of injuries,
injuries,
yeah. I mean,
a little
Shea
bit of
Theodore's
injuries.
out.
Aiden Hill, who has turned into an elite goaltender, is gone.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
our producer happily brought up that he's slated to be the starting goaltender for Canada,
yeah.
which is
That's I mean, good
I,
for him.
I think you and I, because he was a Yote for a little bit, right?
Yeah, well, he played in Arizona for a little bit. He spent more time in like Tucson, and then I
Okay,
believe he was over in San Jose before that. But
gotcha.
yeah, Vegas, this is what's going to happen. I mean, Vegas, I loved Vegas getting super cocky about their 10, 11 game streak
Yep.
to open the season, because we even brought it up, right? You're essentially playing scrub teams, right?
Yep.
So eventually some of those big body teams, or some of those teams that can skate with you and keep up with you, they're gonna beat you. And right now it does have that vibe, even with a couple guys out, right? Like every team goes
Mhm.
through it, but they look kind of defeated, right? I mean, they look like they need a spark, and they're just not getting it. So yeah,
Tired. Just
they do
tired.
they do look tired. I mean, that's you expect that at the beginning of the season, right? And I think
Right,
them
and then
having
they
that
build
nice
up.
schedule. Right? Yeah, exactly. They kind of have that Stanley Cup hangover, but I
Sure.
think because of their easy schedule to start, I think they almost got lulled into a sleep. Right? They
Yep.
kind of got lulled to sleep a little bit. So
So are you
yeah,
worried about them, or are they
no, I
going to
mean
bounce back? And
no. I mean, are they the same absolutely dominant Vegas team of last year? I don't know. I don't think so. But it's still that's still easily a playoff team.
yeah,
Still
easily.
very much, the Pacific is still wide open.
Right.
So I think you're a little bit of concern just because they are struggling, but and maybe it's just because it's Vegas. We're expecting them to be an absolute juggernaut, but yeah, it'll be really interesting to kind of see what they do from here, but who knows?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I don't. I mean, there's no to me. There's no danger of them falling out of a playoff spot. That's not what
Right.
I'm worried about. But it could be a chink in the armor, so to speak, of like, okay, this the Goliath team is not necessarily what we thought they were going to. But then again, we watched Boston run away with like the league record and get bounced in the first round. So
Sure. Sure.
not always a positive thing when you're doing that. Overall, I think they're gonna be fine. It's
Yeah.
especially when they get their people back.
I mean, we've seen some of those hot teams in the Pacific start to kind of fall off a little bit, anyways, right? So I mean, Vegas is obviously one. LA has struggled a little bit recently.
Mhm.
Those kind of things. So things are starting to even out a little bit more. I think teams are starting to find their identity. Teams that have a ton of changes, right?
Mhm.
It takes them a little bit of time to get going and get moving around. So yeah, I think that they'll be okay. They gotta right the ship soon though, because we're starting to get to that point where we're finding out who's fake. So
Well, and they're see, to me, they're in the category of good to great. Whereas, like
mm,
the Kraken are on a great run, but like as we said before, all it does is balance out the 10-game losing streak they
sure.
had. And as we've mentioned previously, like as you can see on here, they're they are they're fake good at the moment. Like
Hmm.
they're tripping backwards into a playoff spot with 9 overtime losses.
Hmm. Hmm.
If we didn't have loser points, the Kraken would be very, very easily much lower in the standings.
Right.
So now I'm hoping it balances out. I'm sure that Gary Bettman hates when this happens because he's the big proponent of the loser point. Um, and it makes his system look dumb when somebody limps into the playoffs with a losing record technically,
Sure.
which I mean, if you add it up, the Kraken definitely have a losing record. Whereas all the teams ahead of them, yeah, well, even the technically the Yotes are a better team. They have a better record than the Kraken, but because the Kraken lost at a different time, they're ahead of them for some. And I think that's a little bit frustrating because it's counterintuitive to like what you and I think of as hockey. It's the best wins kind of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that makes sense. Um, hey, speaking of the best wins, how about that USA team, eh?
Oh, I just they rolled. Absolutely fucking rolled, man. But I mean, this is the team we've been talking. I mean, the hockey world's been talking about this group of American players that have been playing together for how long now, and all of their. I think I don't. I'm not going to try to guess the number, but like majority of this team was drafted right. Like it was a damn good team. Like if they did not win especially with the Bedards and the and the Shane Wrights, as Aaron likes to say, with Canada not having some of those high end players in those guys, this team should have rolled, and they did. They looked so good throughout the whole tournament. Just dusted Sweden. I mean, it was a game for a little bit. I got to watch the highlights. I didn't watch the full game itself, but just I mean a 6-2 win. I mean it was close for a little bit, and then it was just you could tell that it was the USA show. So yeah, and I think what's funny about it is there was like this a little bit of like people kept calling it like a villain complex, right? They're in
Right.
Sweden playing Sweden, and they like I forget who scored the goal, but someone did like the Superman like Aaron Rodgers pull the suit back kind of thing and
Right.
show the USA, right? So there was definitely a little bit of that villain complex, but they were
They
just the
owned it.
best team. Yeah,
They owned it.
they did. They
It's
did.
fun to be the villain.
Right? I mean,
And this is sports. Like you're supposed to like a lot of in fact, it was kind of fun. I mean, granted, Twitter is an algorithm and blah blah blah, but it's funny. Like I saw more Canadians being pissed off about this than Swedes.
right,
Like at the end of the day, this is a sport. We're supposed to talk shit to each other. Like
right.
when you lose, you cope and you make excuses and you insult their moms. And when you win, you talk massive shit. Like this is just sports. If you don't like the competitive nature of it, don't follow sports. Like it's as simple as that.
Canadian fans being upset about that, like Canada wouldn't have done the same thing. Like, come on, dude. I
But this
just
is not baseball. Like, I'm
it is.
sorry. And if you don't like it, maybe get past the fucking qualifying round.
Yeah, maybe get past Chechnya and fucking quarterfinals. Fucking losers. It's just yeah, go back to the NHL, dude. Like,
You
yeah.
guys lost to the bronze winners, okay? You're congratulations, you're the fourth place team.
I I mean, look, it was it one of the weakest Canadian teams we've seen? 100%, right? I mean, they were missing some big names and stuff like that, but that is the World Juniors, right? Figure out a way because you're gonna
Right.
see it's gonna happen, right? It's the same thing with just regular juniors, right? You're gonna have players that get pulled up. It's the same thing with the AHL. I was over New Year's was talking with a buddy who used to have season tickets to the San Diego Gulls, so it's the Ducks AHL team,
Yep.
and one of the things he said is it sucks, but it's just the way it goes. That some of these teams would have been so much better if we had those guys, if we had those younger guys that got pulled up and stuff like that. It's the name of the game. So yeah, I mean I understand being upset, but the U.S. team was the best. I mean, they went in as the best team, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
yeah, good on them. Congratulations to them. It kind of sucks for Sweden because I mean, what we've gone U.S. Canada Canada U.S. now for the last four, I think is what it is or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I think Sweden snuck one in there
yeah,
at
Sweden
one
might have
time,
snuck one in there too.
or
But
or
it just
maybe or maybe it was Finland. Am I imagining that?
yeah, there was a Finland one in there too. So I don't know.
Just like a
It seems like it's been Canada and U.S. But yeah, I mean, U.S. was just the better team against Sweden, man. It is what it is.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the Swedish team. God, there's a lot. Shout out some of the guys on that. I mean, the U.S. team obviously lots of. I thank you, Aaron. 10 first round picks for Team
There you go.
USA.
Yep.
I was looking at looking. We follow almost all the NHL teams' Twitter pages, and the Red Wings put out like they've the goalie. What's his name? Augustine or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Augusta or
That's
Augustine.
for Canada.
No, I think that was the U.S. goalie.
Oh, U.S. goal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, U.S. goalie. He's a Red Wings prospect, and there's but Pelika,
Mm-hmm.
fucking the dude with three names. That
Mm-hmm.
guy's fucking dude. That guy's fucking good. Like
Yeah,
holy shit, that guy's good.
yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
lighting it on fire. And then uh shout out to the Finns. Always seem like they show up. Like everybody always counts them out, but then they show up and it's fucking like they're always competitive, man. They're a good team. I think pretty much the only I watched a few of these teams like Latvia probably, yeah. Switzerland always shows up and is competitive, but never makes it through. Germany, God, Germany's that team that I always want to like take the next step. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it seems like they do have some better development programs. You're getting a lot more better German players that are making the league. Obviously, Cider being a big one there, but yeah, I'm excited for a lot of I love seeing these programs grow, and
Mm-hmm.
as much as we're happy that the U.S. took home the gold, uh, it's fun to see hockey coming from. To me, it's fun to see talented hockey players coming from countries that we wouldn't necessarily expect because for our entire childhood, it was what the U.S., the Canadians, and the Russians,
Mm. Yeah.
and then everybody else.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like you see these teams like Finland, the Czechs, right? You see them as like it's just good hockey teams, right?
Yep.
It's not the firepower that U.S. and even yeah, I would go as far as saying Sweden. I think Sweden puts out some good players and they have for a good amount of time now, right?
Mhm.
But seeing those teams like Finland and Czech and Swiss and those kind of teams, it's just good hockey, right? And some of those coaches might need to be starting getting some looks because they can put together a good roster, get them through some of these stages where they don't have the top end, they don't have 10 first round picks
Mhm.
on their team, right? Like it's guys that just are there to play some hockey. So yeah,
Who was the U.S. kid that scored the go ahead goal and then he blew a kiss to the crowd?
it wasn't Snugs, was it?
Maybe it was, but I thought I just wanted to bring that up because like it's the people are pointing to that like oh when they beat Canada they had that fucking trash can with the Canadian logo on it.
Pretty good. That's pretty
Right, that's
funny.
fucking great.
Yeah.
And then this year, like they're fucking the crowd is literally booing them as they're getting their medals, and you're sitting here going, "Be classier, U.S." Like, no,
Right.
fuck off. Like,
Right.
no, like this is hockey. Like, you don't like this? Go fucking watch baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a double standard, man. But
It's
yeah,
this
that
idea that
final,
everybody needs to participate, kind of thing.
yeah, it got a little chippy. I mean, U.S. has some big boys on that team, dude. I just some guys that are going to be some power forwards in the NHL even.
Yep.
So yeah, there's some big hits. I mean, there was the one that everybody's talking about where even the announcer said it was interference or some shit while he's literally getting hit taking the shot. So it's just, yeah, there's always going to be drama with all that stuff, but luckily U.S. was on the right end of that. So
it's supposed to be the best of the best. Like
hmm
it's not. Sorry, I just can't handle that kind of shit.
yeah,
Hey, speaking of best of the best, kind of going a little off script here. The All Star rosters were announced.
they sure were.
And I'll pull up the Eastern one here real quick. We can kind of break those down real fast. But what were your initial thoughts on who made the who? First off, okay. First off, do we care?
Uh, I think it's just another thing for us to
Uh,
talk about. So I mean, it's just I mean, we
fair,
care to an extent, but I mean, we all know at this point, right? It's all a fucking gimmick. So yeah, there was definitely some names that there's every year there's going to be names. If you have one player from every team, there's always going to be what the fuck are they doing,
sure,
But I mean, there was even some, I think we were kind of talking about like the Rangers, right? I mean, yes, you probably you want to see Shesterkin because you don't have as many top level goalies as Shesterkin, but to say he's had any sort of an all star season over Artemi Panarin is just
right.
fucking hilarious.
And we learned that
So
Panarin is has a great excuse. He
sure,
he strategically knew that he was going to have a great year. He's like, honey, I'm going to play out of my fucking mind and score
yes,
lots of goals. Okay,
yes,
they're going to make me go to All Star game in Toronto. I know I don't want to go to Toronto, so we need to put a baby in you. And
yeah, and
she understood the assignment,
mm-hmm.
and they're they are now due to have a child here soon. So he conveniently has an excuse to not go to the All Star game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that played a role. I mean, but yeah, but I mean, there's just, and that's the thing. He can still get in, right? Like, they could still potentially select some of these guys that should have been in over other guys, but yeah, we see this every year, right? I mean, I think the name that keeps getting thrown around is Boone Jenner, right? Like, Boone Jenner was having a decent year before he got hurt, but it's just Boone Jenner as an all star
Boone
is
Jenner's a
is
great guy. Like,
it's that's John Scott to me though, right? That's the
yeah,
same thing as John Scott being an all star. It's all a fucking gimmick. So
right. And it's the idea, and we can kind of bring up probably our most interacted post this week. It was a reply to what was his name? His name one of the more bigger Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson
there you go.
talking about releasing the All Star. They were going to release them and talked about how one from every teams and we replied with something standard that we would say is we're still doing we're still doing picking one player from every team, and it got quite a bit of reaction. Everybody's on there, so I think that you and I could probably talk till the cows come home about how we don't agree that one player should come from every team. Um, if it's truly an all-star game, if we go into this with the idea that okay, this is a marketing gimmick, we're here just to make extra money, we're here to get the mascots out on the ice, we're supposed to have, this is a fun thing for kids, then great. Let's change it to the NHL skills competition. Zegras can come out and fucking flip pucks in the air,
Hell yeah,
and he can do it while jumping through a ring of fire. Like, fine,
yeah,
great. Don't call it the All-Star game because it is marketed still in the way of like, oh, we're taking the best of the best of the best of the NHL and we're putting them on the ice and seeing what happens kind of thing. That's just not it. Like it's
yeah,
like when you have players trying to get out of this, it's not taken seriously. And when you force, I understand why they do it. I understand why you do it. You do it because you don't want some fan bases left
inclusion.
out. Yeah,
hmm
it's inclusion, which is if you care about that, then again, go watch fucking baseball. Like that's just not this sport. It's not. It goes against the culture of the sport, I guess, is what I'm saying, or at least what this culture used to be. Um, because trying to get all these fan bases involved is sometimes it's just a joke. Like as you and I are Kraken fans, we love Oliver Bjorkstrand. I'll pop that over here for a second to the West Coast team. Um, we love all Bjorkstrand was selected for the Kraken. Like, great. We love Oliver Bjorkstrand. He's a good guy. I don't think he's an all-star. It's as simple as that. Like Connor Bedard, absolutely. Jack Eichel, probably. Forsberg's having a good year. Hellebuck's doing great. Thomas Hertl is the best player on the Sharks.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's easy to do.
But I don't think probably should be on the All-Star game. Calgary probably shouldn't be sending anybody. Talbot, as much as I give him shit, he's having a good year. Vetrano is the best player on the Ducks. Do I think the Ducks should be sending a representative? No.
Who was it for Calgary? I can't quite read the name.
Lindholm.
Yeah, that's a tough one too, because I mean, it's not like he's having a light him up season.
No, it's not. So
Yeah,
there are situations, and it's most of these names are okay. I look at it, most of the names are all right and are deserving, but at the end of the day, it should be for Boone Jenner and let's give him another name from the East, Boone Jenner, and take out maybe Nick Suzuki. Okay, replace them with Marner and Nylander.
Sure.
Like that's probably what should happen right there.
Right.
But they're not going to do that. So I don't know. It kind of takes some of the fun out of the All-Star game for me personally, but as the NHL is making it painfully aware, I am not the target audience for this.
Yeah, no one gives a shit what you think.
That's very well. I would say that it's not targeted to you either. So,
God damn it. But I wanted Tom Wilson and fucking Boone Jenner in there, dude. What are you
Did you?
Yeah,
Did you? All-star Tom Wilson. God damn it.
Tommy boy.
There used to be a time where All-Star meant something, and now it just fucking...
All right, fucking quit shouting at the clouds, babe.
That's right. Back in my day, they used to have back in my day they had the two shields. All right,
yeah.
and the shields were that ugly orange that was on the street hockey ball.
Oh, I did see it. I saw a couple of old school All-Star jerseys at the Classic. That was fucking great.
That's cool.
Yep, see they got the shields in there. I saw a couple Doug Glatts.
Oh,
my favorite. I had two. One of my favorites. Well, I had they're similar. There was one lady on the train who had just a Sudbury Bulldogs, and then there was a guy at the Classic who had an actual Blueberry Bulldogs, and it said fucking Shoresy on the back.
Hell yeah,
fucking great.
Hell yeah.
So I was way off topic, but yeah.
No, you're good. I fucking love that shit. Good hockey jerseys are the spice of life.
That's right. That's right. Well, Chance, before we get too far, let's go ahead and pay some bills, huh?
Let's do it.
All right. We all know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. And you know us, we're trying to do a little bit of betting. There's a good chance we're going to throw a bet down today. Try and do a little betting on the weekend. So, yeah, go ahead and keep listening in case we do something like that. So, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with the code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved.
Getting better and better at that every day.
Sure am. I practice.
Maybe we should probably record that one day.
I just put it, like, I write it in the shower, or just scrubbing my cheeks and
that's right,
practicing my
those
my
wall
DK.
markers.
Yeah, that's right. God damn it.
Love that shit. Okay, time to move into some NHL news, shall we?
Sure.
All right. So, probably the biggest controversy, closest thing that we can have to controversy in the NHL nowadays. Ryan Hartman pulled the old Shorzy where he let
Sure
Cole
did.
Perfetti know that he was going to take his entire fucking top row. And then guess what he did after that?
Did he take his
He
top row?
he proceeded to try to take his top row.
Nice.
Unfortunately for Ryan Hartman, Cole Perfetti was mic'd up that game.
Oh, that's
And
pretty fucking sweet.
yes, something that I didn't know. Shout out to a more nationally syndicated podcast that I picked this up from. Apparently, it's written into the CBA that when these players are mic'd up, anything said that's picked up through these mics cannot be used against them in a disciplinary hearing.
Hey, that's so weird, dude.
Uh, no, it makes. I mean, from a legal perspective, it makes total sense. Players aren't going to agree to be mic'd up if it can be used against them. So,
Sure,
like,
but good God.
if somebody insults and if Hartman goes up and says, "Hey, I was with your mom last night and she was super fat, but I had a good time anyway," he doesn't he doesn't want that coming back to haunt him later.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
I get
Marchand to
that,
be
but
already out of the league. Are you kidding me?
yeah, but you can. I mean, you can chirp with like. There's no way that you can just give this guy a fine when clearly premeditated, right? Like, I mean,
Sure.
it's a definition of premeditated.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, yes, you make sense. It's annoying when you make sense, but it's just to me, like, there's gotta be a middle ground, right? Like, come on, dude.
He
Like, I
got fined.
understand
He got fined.
he got fined. He's staring at Cole Perfetti on the face-off, doesn't even go for the puck and
He's like,
just
I'm gonna
stares at his
take
face.
your entire fucking top. You know that hit. You know that hit that happened that you had nothing to do with last time.
Right,
Like, I'm gonna take your entire fucking top row.
dude. I mean, I totally get going after. Like, I don't even remember who. I want to say Sandberg, but it wasn't Sandberg.
Uh-huh.
But some, yeah, it's because Kaprizov got hurt literally the night before, right? I think they played a back to back or something. Like, and it was just like, come on, dude. Like, go fight the guy that it was. Like,
Sure,
I
sure.
understand. Like, you're trying to apples to apples. Brandon Dillon, yes, thank you, Aaron. Brandon Dillon, right? Like I completely understand what Hartman's doing, right? I mean, I'm not an idiot, but like, come on, man. This isn't. And people getting in the comments, policing, policing the game. Fuck off, dude. Like, it's not policing.
Well,
If
how do you want to police the game? Like, it's like this is a no-win scenario, right? Like, this always goes into when you and I start talking about reffing in the NHL. Like, refs are damned if they do and then damned if they don't. Like, so I don't definitely like I don't envy the position of a ref here, but like policing of the game, it's not like it's an eye for an eye, but like you go after the guy who fucking hit
hook the
you,
eye, yeah,
right?
like it's so stupid to me.
Right, like that's not like you go after that. That's the whole point of that's what policing. Like when hockey players talk about
Exactly.
policing the game, like it's you own up for what you did. Like if you throw a hit, you're expecting to get hit. So a perfect example would be tonight. Connor Bedard left the game early to the absolute tragedy of all of Canada. All of Canada right now is putting sticks out on their doorway. They're
Yeah,
lighting candles.
yeah.
Everybody who is religious is praying. Like wait, like there are balloon that those candle balloons,
That's a
know what I'm talking
thing.
about? I don't know. The things where you
Okay.
light a candle, the paper lanterns, and they go up in the air.
Oh, like a
Um,
lantern. Yeah,
those
yeah.
are going out to like Gordie Howe and Wayne Gretzky for a speedy recovery for Connor Bedard because today he got hit. As I
He
think
got hit.
he got hit, and if Connor Bedard gets hit, it's national news,
Hmm.
especially in Canada. Perhaps even like you raise the terror alert a little bit,
Yeah.
and
Like they're lucky it was on a Friday because school would have had to been closed tomorrow.
oh yeah, we would have definitely all of Canada would have come to a screeching halt.
Jesus. Timmy Hortons all over the fucking country are
Oh,
shutting
you
doors.
you know it's bad when Timmy's shuts the door. Like
Dude,
if
yeah,
Timmy's is
Timmy's.
closed, you know it's a national emergency.
Oh yeah.
So Connor leaves the rest of the game, but immediately after the hit goes down, like it was a clean hit.
Hmm.
It wasn't necessarily, it wasn't even particularly hard. It's just uh
It's baby
Bedard's
boy.
Bedard's tiny and Brendan Smith is not.
Yeah.
And but Bedard goes down. But even though it was a clean hit and it wasn't necessarily hard, you protect, you police the game, you protect your star player. So if somebody
Right.
throws a hit on that, you respond and you go to Brendan Smith,
Which they did.
which they did. Great.
Yep.
That is policing. Okay.
Right.
It's not like the next shift Tyler Johnson takes a fucking baseball swing to the knee, you know.
Sure. Yeah, it's not like Jack Hughes was getting speared in the fucking gut and he can never have children again. Like there's
Johnson
just
Johnson comes out on the ice, and then all of a sudden, fucking, or yeah, no, fucking, Hughes comes out on the ice, and Johnson's just like, I'm gonna baseball swing on your fucking ankle right now.
yeah, dude. I'm gonna end my own career on your fucking ankle. God.
I am going to put every ounce of like kinetic energy, potential and kinetic energy I have into an absolute fucking tornado swing into your left ankle.
Yeah, it's like this whole going back to the Hartman stuff.
Yeah,
It's the whole thing. Like I totally understand if he wasn't able to get at Brandon Dillon after the hit on Kaprizov,
fair.
right? Like go after Brandon Dillon the next game, right? Or go after a guy in your own fucking weight class and
Sure.
throw some fisticuffs. Don't.
I understand the
Ugh,
logic he's coming
so
from.
bad,
I'm saying
dude.
the logic's flawed.
It's
Like,
flawed logic. Yeah, it's
right. It's
terrible.
I get, a star for a star. Like I understand the twisted logic. I'm just saying like that's not normally how we, when you say policing the game, like players policing the game, that's not what we normally talk about.
Yeah, it's not necessarily he missed that day in fucking hockey school.
Right.
Just
It's
that
now
definition
now
didn't register.
now if Cole Perfetti's in the boards and takes a big hit, like that's okay.
Sure,
That's a
sure.
little different. It's a little different. But in this particular case, like if Matthew Joseph, not to bring it back to the Red Wings, but like Matthew Joseph,
There you go.
I know, I'm sorry, but this was the latest incident where there was a dirty thing and it was controversial. Um, the next time Matthew Joseph is out on the ice with the Detroit Red Wings, he's answering the bell. Like he's
Hmm.
answering the bell or he's getting fucking laid out. Like if he goes into the corner once, he better have his head on a fucking swivel. And you know that that's going to happen. So, and that game's going to get chippy. But this is just a little misplaced, and I don't know. Have you ever seen something like this before?
Not
It was a very
outside of.
weird like lift up slash. Like I don't think I've ever seen like somebody slash somebody lifting up like this.
So this is professional goonery. This is all this is.
Okay.
This is Hartman is trying to make it look like he is going to quote unquote
Yes.
lift the stick, and he's just gonna pop fucking Perfetti's nose off. Like that. Like I understand what he was doing. He's trying to make it smart. He didn't think he was gonna get more than two
Right.
minutes, right?
What
I
do you
mean, like
mean? What are you talking
it
about?
wasn't even me, dude. It was his own stick. Like it just like I know like it's professional goonery, and that's
Right.
who Ryan Hartman is.
Yeah.
There's the Brad Marchand is the fucking pro
King.
at it, right?
Yeah,
He's the king of it.
absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I know what he's trying to do. Yeah, it's seventh fine in his career, 3 times suspended. With that, you're telling me that this mic that catches this premeditated on an unsuspecting player couldn't be used to get him another suspension like he deserved after hearing these fucking things. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just that's crazy to me. And I totally get the argument that you brought up earlier, but come on, man, there's got to be something, right? Like you're telling me, right? If there was a racial slur involved, if there was some sort of
Yeah.
issue with, you know, it gets thrown a
And
lot weight,
you know
come on,
what?
man.
I'm a little even because I'm one of the least offendable people on the in the world, and I'm even in the camp. We might be for once we might disagree on something. Like it's the whole point is to get under people's skin on the
Sure.
ice. Like if you get onto the ice and someone says something to you and you gotta fill out a hurt feelings report when you get to the bench, I'm sorry. Like you're in the wrong sport. Like it's yeah, some guys can maybe cross the line sometimes, but as soon as you say that, oh man, he crossed the line, he just won. He just got in your fucking head
Sure.
and it's over. Like that was the whole point of him saying something completely fucking ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I get it. Maybe I'm not. I'll backtrack a little bit and say maybe there are some lines that shouldn't be crossed. But at the same time, like you're not going out. It's not a fucking sewing circle where everybody's going to be patting each other on the back. Like when you go out onto that ice, you need to you should get some compliments from your guys, and you should expect the worst fucking it should be a Call of Duty. You go out there expecting a Call of Duty lobby, okay?
Oh god damn, that'll get you fined, dude. That's
Like
Call of Duty, that'll get you fined.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
understand maybe I'm in the minority on that. That people, you can't. There are certain things you can't say, and I guess you're right. But at the end of the day, like when you're on the ice, like the whole point is to trying to get into the other player. You were a pro at it, my friend.
oh yeah,
Trying to
I'm
get
one of the best, dude.
yeah, you were
I'm one of the
like
best.
trying to get into people's heads. So like that's the goal. So like I'm sorry, to me there are very few topics that are off limits on the ice because that's the whole point of it. Like it's the closest hockey is the closest thing we can get to gladiatorial games nowadays.
Yeah, and I think so. I don't differ with you in most of that aspect.
Okay,
So for me, him saying I'm gonna take your fucking nose off,
right.
I'm totally okay with that. Fucking
I'm gonna
say
kill
it.
you. I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna kill
kill
you.
you.
I'm gonna
No, I'll
kill
kill
you.
you. What is it
Yeah,
from Shorzy? I'm gonna kill you.
I'm
No,
gonna
I'll
kill you.
kill
I'm
you.
gonna do it. I'm gonna
I'm
kill
gonna
you. Yeah,
no, I'm
yeah, because
serious.
the
I'm
other
gonna
guy
kill you.
exactly. It's just
Great.
words, right?
Puck
It's
drops
just
and we'll
words.
kill each other. Like
Right. Yeah, let's just beat each other up. But like
right.
him saying it and then doing the egregious high stick that he
Sure.
said he was gonna do, right?
Sure.
That's premeditated.
Oh,
He should have been
oh,
suspended.
let's clarify. It's hilarious.
I mean, it's a great fucking
It's
move.
really funny. Like it's
Yeah.
great content and absolutely hilarious. But not necessarily in the best taste.
Well, and I think it's funny because like Hartman, who the fuck is Ryan Hartman 5 years
Uh,
ago? Nobody.
seventh fine, suspended 3 times. Thank you,
Yeah.
Aaron.
Yeah. So I mean, but who is Ryan Hartman 5 years ago? Fucking nobody, right? This is what Hartman does. This is
He
this
had a 30
Hartman.
goal season. What year before last? Something like that.
Maybe I don't fucking
He had
know.
one. He had one like out of he had like one season that was like completely off the wall where everybody's like, oh, Ryan Hartman is a rot. He's the next Tom Wilson kind of thing where he's a
Mm.
tough goon, but he can also fucking put up 34 goals in 21-22. So
Yeah,
that's not nothing. That's not nothing.
but
Um,
that's less than 5 years ago, right? So who the fuck was Ryan Hartman before that?
that's fair.
Nobody. He's fucking
That's fair.
nobody.
Yeah,
So
15 goals
it's
last year, 11th this year, and that
yeah,
could honestly be
and that's normal.
that could be attributed to not to go into Minnesota right now because the team is unless you want to talk about fucking Minnesota's fucking the most boring team in the league.
Yeah,
There's so if they didn't have Marc-Andre Fleury, I would not have any reason to pay attention to this team. I'm
yeah. I
sorry.
mean, they have arguably like Kaprizov is a damn good goal scorer. I would throw him in
Eh,
the top
fine.
top 10 in the league in goal
Sure.
scoring. Like I think
Sure.
he is that good of a player. Who the fuck is he? Nobody even knows because no one watches fucking
It's
Minnesota,
because they're
dude.
just so, like it's Minnesota's going to do what it always does. They're going to be a middling bubble team.
Sure.
If they sneak into the playoffs, they'll lose in the first round. Like it's like it's a chant at this point. Like first round exit. Here we go. Let's maybe
First
some new
round
jerseys.
exit.
Maybe some new.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I think they're at the point where they need to do like a quick retool or a rebuild or something. I don't know enough about Minnesota's pipeline to say that they're in the position to rebuild. But fuck, man, that team is just
Yeah.
they're a definition of aggressively mediocre.
And they have some good young guys, right? Brock
Yep.
Faber is turning into a very nice two-way
Sure.
D.
Sure.
You got Rossi there, you got Boldy there. They've got some players there. It's just I mean, Evanson was not the guy. He did pretty well for them for a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they need to do. Where they're sitting right now, there's a very good chance we see a lot of that team.
Yeah.
All right, that's the name of the game. So, but yeah, Ryan Hartman, if you're listening to this, just pick on somebody your
15.
own size.
Minnesota has 15 million dead
Yeah, that's
cap
a Parise
space.
and Suter. Yeah, yeah,
Oof.
that
Fuck.
hurts. That
It
does hurt.
definitely hurts a rebuild for sure. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I get that. So
yeah.
maybe that's what their plan is to be mediocre until they actually get the cap back and then they're good to go.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you, like, if you know you have 15 million in dead cap, why wouldn't you be just getting guys around Kaprizov and some of these younger guys? Like
Yeah.
Marco Rossi could potentially, like, he's shown flashes even this year
They should be
in,
stacking up on picks right now is what they should be
yeah,
doing.
100%. 100%. And I think there's a very good, we'd have to look at his contract, but I think like a Zuccarello, right? Like a Zuccarello in a middle six role on a contender, why
Yep.
not, dude? It's
Yeah.
just
Oh,
they might, right?
Zook gives off great third line winger energy for a Stanley Cup team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Signed 4.125, which is nothing. And maybe that, maybe a trade deadline because he's pretty freaking
You could
low for
even,
the
you
next
know
couple of
what?
years.
I bet there's somebody dumb enough out there to give a first round pick for Zook.
But I mean, the way he's still having a nice season. He's had a nice
He's
season along
he's
Kaprizov
he's
every
in
year.
that range of like it's like a Tanner Janot situation where like there'll be
But
one team that just like, yeah, we're not going to beat around the bush. Here's a first, second, and a third, and there's Zook.
and here's a seventh and a sixth if you're Tampa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
If you're Tampa,
we'll throw in our best two prospects in a fucking Gatorade cooler.
that's right.
Jesus.
All right, I don't know how we got on a fucking
Sure.
Minnesota, but
Minnesota.
in
Ryan
any
Hartman,
case,
dude, he plays there.
that's right. He does indeed play
Yeah, there
there.
you go.
So I've been told. Other news coming out. Samsonov. We hit on a little bit early on, but the hockey world revolves around Toronto. So Samsonov hits waivers. Statistically, I think the worst goalie in the league.
Yep. The
After
goals saved above expected is what everybody looks at, and he
Yep.
is dead last in
And I mean,
15 games played.
and save percentage isn't any better. Guys, looking at I just had it in front of me right now.
0.862
Yep,
through
0.862
15.
save percentage in 15 games. That's not good. It's not good enough. When you're
Jesus.
losing your starting gig to Martin Jones, you know something's wrong.
Oh, you saying that? I know another goalie who also did the same thing, dude. Or should have lost his starting gig.
Who could you be talking about,
I
Taylor?
don't
I
know.
don't.
We won't bring it up. That's old news. That's
Okay.
a shallow cut.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
So the word is that they're gonna give him the full Susan Allen treatment.
good.
Samsonov cleared they sent him to waivers
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah, they
cleared
Jack
waivers,
handled him.
which I'm kind of surprised he did. If I'm a GM of another team, I think about this and I go like, okay, Toronto's a toxic market. Like it's very clear that there's something wrong with his mind. He's not physically hurt. He's just out of it mentally. If we could just get him out of Toronto,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
maybe he gets that old form back. I'm very surprised that a GM did not take. I don't know his contract, so maybe I'm missing something there. But I am very surprised that he was not claimed.
I agree. I mean, age wise, he's probably in the 24, 25, 26 range,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I mean, maybe it's 2 more years and he finally, officially figures it out and starts
Oh,
going. But
3.5. I mean, he's not
yeah,
playing. He's not playing 3 to 5. He's not playing up to his. Oh, and
no.
he's a UFA after this year. Fucking trade him. Like,
Oh God, yeah, that's an easy pickup, dude.
yeah,
I'm with you. I don't know. There's so many goalie hungry teams too. Like,
that's an easy rehabilitation project that you bring in, and it worst case scenario, he doesn't work this year, and you let him jump to free agency. Like, I'm very surprised that that there must have been a gentleman's agreement or something. In any case, he's dropped to the Marlies, assigned to the Marlies, but apparently he's not going to play there for a week or two because he's going to get the full Susan Allen treatment of sports psychology and you know,
good, good man.
go into the mountains of Tibet to meditate and all that shit to find himself, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a hell of a journey, but he could do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
like
he's got it.
Batman, right? Isn't that Batman went to Tibet?
Yeah. With
Yeah,
Raz Al Ghul,
Ra's al
Samsonov and
Ghul.
Raz Al Ghul.
Hell yeah,
Fucking
he just needs to train with Ra's al Ghul.
Samsonov comes back. I am not the goalie you want. I am goalie you deserve.
I am goalie. You deserve. Good for him, man. God, I hope he. Yeah, he definitely he could pull out some. He could come back with some freaking We'd see him doing some Patrick Waugh pad
How do I
stacks and
how do I
shit.
do how do I do a Russian Batman accent? This team
There
needs
you go.
hero. This team needs hero.
Steam. I play goalie well now. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I mean, and he's making the money. I mean, 3.5 million. That's probably not as much as Batman, but
I bet
I
there's
mean,
a
that's a good
Russian.
amount of money.
I bet there's a Russian Batman movie out there. Like
Gotta be.
like the Russians like saw how well Christian Bale was doing. They're like, we need to copy. So there's like a really horrible communist version of Russian Batman.
God, I bet it's so good. What are you talking about? It's probably fucking instant classic.
It's just every episode's just like him hanging instead of Commissioner Gordon. It's just Putin.
Yeah, he's just got Putin posters and shit in his fucking bat
No,
cave.
Batman, Russian Batman puts out his spotlight to Putin, and Putin helps Batman out.
Yeah, Putin's definitely Batman though,
I
right?
can I cannot I cannot beat this this American Joker. Putin, help!
Oh shit!
Fucking
Fucking
great.
the Americans are the bad guys for once in the
Yeah,
Russian Batman recreation.
Joker's just like you know how I got these scars? Capitalism.
Oh shit. Or a fucking bullfight, dude. Like everybody across the pond thinks that like we're all just fucking cowboys and shit. So yeah, it's
Cowboys.
just like an
That's right.
evil cowboy
Yanks.
corporation.
Yeah, I'm
Yanks.
surprised that that's not used around here more.
Fucking
Yeah,
Yanks.
but apparently it's very common overseas. We're referred to as Yanks.
Hell yeah, dude. Good
Mhm.
on us. Yeah.
Yankee Cowboys.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm with you. There's got to be something because I mean, we know if Samsonov was on Montreal, Carolina for sure would have picked him up, right? Like there's just that little
Right.
stink
There's
between them. But yeah, I
kind of
don't
talk
know.
about that too. Like there's so many teams right now that need goaltending right now. And
Maybe
well, okay. Let me rephrase that before you. It's there's lots of teams that need goaltending. There's slightly more than a few that are competitive. Like,
right.
does Buffalo need goaltending? Yes, but that ship has sailed. Like it's
I mean,
uh
you can be Willie Nylander and fucking Samsonov for Gibson. I'm doing it every day, bro.
oh god. It's so okay. So Samsonov goes down. Martin Jones has been holding down the fort, and god damn man, it's like he's on that fucking streak he did with
He's
the
on his
Kraken.
high, man. Yeah, this is what he does. He's
Woo.
gonna have, he might have a 5, 6, 7 game stretch, and then we'll see him and Samsonov fighting for time in the AHL. But
He's gonna
he's on
crash
it right
back.
now.
He's gonna crash back to earth. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. But
Sure.
I think the hope is that before they get Wall back, with Samsonov, like, do you think that this is? I mean, Toronto's still playing fine without him. Not probably to the level that they want. Um, and it's definitely you don't want to go into the playoffs with Martin Jones as your goaltender. But I mean, do you think we see Samsonov make a return at all? Because it's not like this. Edmonton's trying this with Campbell, and I think Campbell might be retiring at this point.
I think the difference.
Guys getting lit up in the AHL right now.
Yeah, just fucking. I mean, beer league, dude. You stick him out in a men's league game. He's gonna, yeah, yeah. He lost his starting job in the AHL.
Yeah.
Yeah. You stick him in a fucking like to the ECHL. Send him to Tulsa at this point, right? It's just,
Yeah.
it's insanity. I think the difference between Campbell and Samsonov at 26, you still potentially have something with Samsonov, or he can go down to the AHL where his game's at. Like maybe that's where he needs to be right now, right? Like
Hmm.
maybe that's good for him. Whereas with Campbell, that was his last kick in the can, and he
Yeah.
still sucks.
Yeah.
So even I think even if Samsonov struggles a little bit, I think it's just going to hurt what his market looks like and the UFA market looks like for him next year. But he's young enough; he can easily play himself into a contract. Go do play in the AHL for a season. Do kind of what I can't say his fucking name.
Nedeljkovic.
Nedeljkovic. Do what Nedeljkovic did, because Nedeljkovic, he's a little wishy washy in the NHL, but he's played some good games in the NHL. and
Sure.
it's just spending a little bit of that
He's a
time.
reliable backup. Like
Yeah,
I mean, he's playing what a backup is supposed to be doing. Yeah, Aaron, great point. So right now we were talking about the teams that are like need goaltending that are in contention spots, teams that we would consider Carolina, New Jersey, or Toronto, probably in the East. You could argue that there's like maybe one or two in the West. But I would say I would definitely say that those are the top three. Um, I don't. It's you want to say probably New Jersey, right?
yeah. I
Like
think if
there's no solution in New Jersey right now.
I think if you're New Jersey though, like would you want to take on another project where Vanacek and Schmid just haven't been able to do it either,
Oh,
right? Like I just that one that
you
concerns
don't.
me a little bit.
If you're see, it's a situation where like Carolina and Toronto can probably get away with a Chris Drieger or a Samsonov or
Hmm.
somebody that's like middling but will get you by. New Jersey to me like they need Gibson. They need to make the move for Gibson.
They need a proven is going
Yeah.
to give you actual goaltending. It's not. Well, maybe he'll figure it out for us. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I
That's where it's because Toronto's not making the move for Gibson. They can't. We already kind of hit on it before. Like how much, how are they going to pay for fucking Willie Nylander?
right. Yeah.
They're going to trade him to Edmond or Anaheim is what they're going to do. Problem solved.
Hey man, I'd fucking if if the absolute dog shit rumors are true and they want to trade Willie Nylander to Anaheim for Gibby, bring
That's
it on, baby. I'll take it.
that's not those aren't rumors. That's a Toronto Maple Leafs Reddit thread.
That's just somebody
That's
shit faced on their couch just
yeah.
going at it, huh?
Yeah, that's just a but that's a Toronto Maple Leaf circle jerk right there. That's nothing that's
I would
going to
join
happen.
that, dude. That's what I'm saying.
There's not there's no way to even entertain that. The fact of like on I understand like the idea of trading a one for but Willie Nylander is worth more than Gibson. So it's going to be with this weird thing where like they would have the Ducks would have to give up a pick or a prospect, and the Ducks aren't going to do that. So it's just not going. Plus the salary retainment. It just doesn't work. Like the team that makes the most sense for is New Jersey. They've got the assets to do it. They've got enough cap space to probably make it work. Plus the cap's going to go up here soon, so you could promise him a raise later on. Yeah, I see that because you and I have kind of beat a dead horse on this. Gibby's not sticking around in Anaheim. He's not re-signing.
No, no, he won't.
So, and we just keep bringing Gibby up because is there another elite goaltender that is even remotely on the trade block right now?
No, I think the other names you really hear after Gibby are Merzlikins and Jake Allen, and that's a whole,
We're throwing
that's a league way below.
Laurent Brossois.
Hell yeah, dude.
You
Brassois getting
know,
another fucking go at it, huh?
I
Dude, I'll
I'm sure
fucking
he's
bring
tired
that
of
guy
sitting
through.
behind Connor Hella. I'm sure he doesn't want to go down in history as Hellebuck's understudy.
I mean, what
Um,
one of the best positions in sports is backup goaltender making fucking
yeah,
3.5 million, right? So
yep,
Jesus, I fuck
you're not you're
you
not
could
wrong.
stick me, you could tie me to the pipes for
Yep.
3.5 million a year, dude.
But I
Give me a
mean,
fucking
after
break.
that, you're getting into goalies that aren't even necessarily worth your time. Like, Chris Drieger is an interesting prospect, because he's on an expiring contract. Again, we've already talked about that before. I'd rather keep him, but because of that contract, we should trade Grubauer, but fucking anyway, nobody wants him. You've got James Reimer, that's available, but he's playing like absolute fucking dog shit. Because the Red Wings are in like a 3 goalie situation at the moment, which probably should get cleared up. Um, yeah, I can't think of really anybody else.
I
Nobody
the
want nobody wants Antti Ranta.
Yeah, the only other areas I would potentially put him, maybe stick him behind Jake Ottinger. I
Uh-huh.
know they're running Scott Wedgwood out right now, and that's a maybe. There's a couple. I think like maybe L.A. right. Like there's some spots that he could potentially fit in, but sending him down, even if he comes back and he's absolutely fucking lights out.
Hmm.
I think Toronto has basically ran him out of that town now, right? So it's just and
They
and,
do
and
that.
rightfully so though
So
too, right?
so that's the question. Is Samsonov genuinely bad, or is he a victim of the 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 woke mind virus of Toronto mentality, where he's
Yeah.
basic like they've he had one game where he let in 5 goals, and then after that they've completely turned on him, and the city just hates him. What do you is it a situation where you get him out? I think he's earned at least the benefit of the doubt because yeah, has he been dog shit this year? Absolutely, he was pretty good last year.
Yeah, I mean,
So
are you gonna get Freddie Anderson where he leaves and he's a much better goalie, and it was clearly the pressure and the
mhm,
literally hatred for their own team in Toronto, or are you gonna get Jack Campbell who is even fucking worse? Like
yeah.
you don't know what it is, but I think with Samsonov it's a combination of there's a ton of pressure in Canadian markets to begin with. Toronto is the epitome of pressure in a Canadian market.
Sure.
And so I think that does play a role. But I think, we always joke about it, but it's so true. If you're thinking of anybody, any position in the NHL that is a natural fucking head case, it's the goaltending position,
Yeah.
right? So I think there is that little side of it too. So he'll be out of there, whether it's at the end of the year, whether they have another injury, right? In Toronto when he comes up and plays some backup games for him, he'll be out. Or they move him before that. So yeah, and the kid's 26. You know, Washington had two pretty dang good goalies, right? Vanacek is had some nice stints that first year over in New Jersey, played pretty damn good, right? And Samsonov was from that same think tank down there in Washington. So I
Yeah.
think I think there's still potential in the kid. It's just going to be putting him in the right position and realistically getting his head right. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, I could see that. So, let's end the show here talking about a team that is in absolute free fall, you could
Oh
say.
yeah,
Um,
dude.
well, so the news with the Ottawa Senators, Steve Stais has been named the new general manager. Dave Poulin has been hired as senior vice president of hockey ops. Ray Bone is promoted from assistant GM to associate GM, which I don't. Uh, does he get to stand to the right of the GM instead of the left side? I don't necessarily.
It's just all about high fives, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Where's the
The
best
order of
angle?
high fives.
Yeah, order of high fives and the best angle for them.
Gotcha. Maybe a closer parking spot or something.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I've heard that the parking at that arena is terrible, so maybe a better parking spot is not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's worth a
Yeah.
couple mil.
Yeah. So these come out. I think we talked about before. Like Daniel Alfredson's also an assistant captain on the bench now. Um, but obviously the coaching it's very apparent now that I think all excuses of Ottawa fans, in fact Ottawa fans have gone pretty quiet on Twitter nowadays, rightfully
Good.
so, because all excuses are out the window now. Like they got rid of DJ and they're still bad.
Right.
It obviously wasn't a coaching problem. This team just isn't ready. This team just isn't ready.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, and I mean they're still pretty young. I know they got guys like Giroux and
Yeah.
Tarasenko that are bringing their minimum or their age
I
up, but yeah,
Drew is, a year or two away from being a Nick Foligno type that rounds out a Stanley Cup winning roster, but not the guy. See,
mm,
that's the problem. Is you're hoping that Claude Giroux is going to be the guy, and
yeah,
he's just at his age, he's not the guy anymore. He can be the guy next to the guy, but he's not going to be the guy. And Vlad Tarasenko, that was, in my estimation, that's a panic move. Like they lost to Brincat, and they're like, well, what are we gonna do?
hmm
So they made a push for Tarasenko, and I think they convinced themselves that that was going to replace, you know, the talent that just left. And obviously not. On
yeah,
paper, you've got a fun, talented roster here, but in practice, uh, they're just not ready.
yeah. They have some serious problems. So I think what I do like to see is even when Ottawa fans were being super annoying on Twitter and stuff like that, they do have Brady. They do have Brady's back, right? And I think Brady is
Yep.
still a good leader. I don't
Yeah.
think that has anything to do with it. But I think personnel wise, you gotta find something. You can't bring in Chikrin, right? Who was the belle of the ball,
Yep.
at the market, right? You can't bring him in and then just go, well, I guess we'll just go back into fucking building back up. Like, it's just like at some point
Yep.
you gotta find the right mixture of soup that fucking feeds the family, right? Like it just
Right.
there's gotta be something there. So
Well, and
yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
see.
I don't watch every single Ottawa game, but when they play my teams, I saw them play the Detroit game, the famous one where Larkin got hurt, and then I just recently watched them play against the Kraken. And granted, the Kraken are on an upward trajectory, and the Senators are on a downward one. But I mean, they made the Kraken look like a very strong offensive team.
Sure did.
Uh, just awful defensive break, like very basic defensive neutral zone breakdowns, like horrible pinches, misreads on plays. Like it was bad, and
Yeah.
it's very apparent at this point that Corpusalo is a Grubauer type, where he can make the save he's supposed to make, but he's not going to pull something out of your ass. If you make a
Yeah.
mistake, it's going in the back of your net. So,
Right.
and the defense makes a lot of mistakes because there might be a lot of pressure on them to be offensive, or
Yeah.
maybe be too aggressive on the defense. But whatever it is, man, they made I'm not going to say they made him look like the Harlan Globetrotters out there, but man, the Kraken looked really good offensively against the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. We talked about it in pat on our backs. We talked about basically trading in Cam Talbot
Yep.
for Cam Talbot,
Yep.
right? And Cam Talbot is having a great year, but LA is a better team, right? They're
Right.
structurally a better team. So, so that's not moving the needle, right? You're
Nope.
talking about DeBrincat leaving and bringing in Tarasenko. That's not going to move the needle, right?
Nope.
So, if I look, there was Ducks fans that had high hopes for the season this year, so I can't get on Ottawa too much for having high hopes on paper before the season starts for their
Sure.
team, but they didn't do anything, man. And it's not like Stützle and Brady Kachuk had like subpar years last year, and they had a lot of room to continue to move up. No, so
Right.
yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do there. I I have my thoughts on what I would do, but I don't get paid enough money, and I'm just not gonna say them, So
Well, I mean, it's, what do you do at this point? Like, you can't, it's easy to, it's, you can't just sit here and say, time to rebuild. Like, that's,
no, it's past. Yeah,
we
yeah, you're
did
past
it.
it.
Like, we went
Yep.
through the rebuild. Like, the rebuild is here, and it's still a bad team.
The rebuild was Carlson to San Jose, and that
Right.
was how
Like,
many fucking years ago? So
I, I don't,
yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy.
I don't know I don't, it's hard to have answers to this because I think probably the only thing you can do is take a scalpel to this team, not a fucking hatchet or an axe, but you look at some of your guys. It's kind of like a Calgary situation. I mean, that didn't work out well for Calgary, or maybe look at Florida, but a situation where you've got to take a scalpel and go like, okay, maybe we've got some talented guys, but maybe they're just not the right fit. Maybe they're not the answer.
Some tweaks, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I think going say, hey, it can never be said that the Dusty Bender podcast does not maya culpa and say we're wrong sometimes. Um, although we hate admitting
We're
it.
not. We're not wrong.
It's I think when that big Kachuk trade happened, we were kind of saying like this is a pretty good trade for Calgary,
Mm-hmm.
and boy were we wrong.
Sure.
So we're coming up on a situation here where I'm not saying get rid of the face of the franchise and whatnot, but like maybe you trade some pieces around to see, you get an equivalent piece. Maybe make a trade with Buffalo or something for guys that just aren't performing, and move pieces around and see if you can fix stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we've seen it a couple times where they trade a younger guy that is coming up, and you get some nice picks out of him.
Yeah.
So maybe that's an option, right? Who
You
doesn't
need a
quite fit?
you need a better example would be you need a line A for PLD trade.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
shake it up, shake the
that's
locker room up,
yes,
right? I mean,
exactly.
I don't know. So yeah, well, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on them, but they can't keep doing what they're doing because I think they're dead last in the league. I don't know if there's. I mean, they're pushing the Sharks for
I
fucking
got the standings
shitty.
here pulled up. They got 28 points. The Sharks have 21. So
All right, so that's not quite, but
they're
yeah,
one.
that's not great.
So the Sharks, the Hawks, and the Ducks are ahead of them or below them.
Oh, and the Sharks have proceeded to lose 10 games in a row again. Good for them.
That's, I mean, not.
Celebrini.
That's what they're looking for.
Yep.
But they're in full rebuild mode. So okay, actually, and I promise this will be the last one, but you brought it up. Um, I kind of still am holding on to my belief that the Kings are fake good.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a believer yet. I'm not saying that they're bad, and I'm not even saying they're mediocre or average. I'm just saying I just think they're playing way above what they actually are right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. I think if you are a Kings fan and you need a little bit of hope, I
Ride
think
the wave, like by
yeah,
all
ride the
means.
wave. Brant Clark is on his way. So Brant Clark did get pulled up. Who of the defensive prospects, like I do follow prospects a little bit more, more than the average buddy.
Mhm.
And it's like Brant Clark, Simon Edvinson, and then it kind of falls off. So what Lane Hudson maybe, right? I think there's that upper echelon of young defensemen that are just they're close, right? They're a year or two away, and Brant Clark's probably the closest of all of them. Maybe besides Edvinson. So there is a little bit of
Sure.
hope there, but I'm kind of with you. I just I
I
think
mean, the PLD situation's obviously not working out. It's not that he's playing. It's one of those situations where he's not like hurting the team, but he's definitely not playing to his contract.
yeah, I think we're kind of in this spot though where like they had a really hot start to the season, right?
I'm gonna
And
level
then
out.
they've
Yeah.
they've kind of leveled out a little bit. So I think they're still a very good team. I think they still make the playoffs, especially in the Pacific. But yeah, they've had their struggles recently, and watching some of those games, I think it was the Winnipeg game.
Mhm.
Just yeah, there's just going to be some nights for that team. I just don't know where all their firepower is going to come from. Right? You're basically like Quentin Byfield's having a really nice coming out party, but there's some guys that can go quiet night to night or a couple games streak and then they can
Mhm.
get hot but then they go quiet again. So
Yep.
yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to follow them, but I think they're still good. They're not. It's not the beginning of the season where Cam Talbot was a world beater good, right? They're just that
Yep.
it's going to be tough for not only that team but for Cam Talbot to continue
Sure.
doing what he was doing, where
You
he
just
was
can't expect him to keep doing this.
yeah, he's 36, 37, right? I
It's
mean,
there's just no
he's
way.
getting up there.
I just don't. Two-part question. Did you know that the Jets were this good, and why was Kyle Connor the problem the whole time?
Um, yeah, Jets. I knew they would be so fucking good,
We knew
and
we knew that Kyle Connor was just a bum, and
yeah,
all they needed to do was have him blow out his fucking knee.
yeah. You're welcome, Jets fans.
Yep.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy that they're playing
That
pretty damn good
that
hockey
might be
without
the
him in
biggest
there.
fucking surprise to me
It's
right
nuts.
now, man.
It's
Like
nuts.
this team, I didn't even like have them, in the conversation really. Like I had them as an outside bubble team, and they're playing some good fucking hockey
It's
right now.
it's really weird that Kyle Connor going down
Yeah, right.
convinced convinced Nick Ehlers and Gabe Velarde that they needed to be good fucking players, and here
Yep.
they go. Right, those two have been just lights out with Shifley. So
Well, it's kind of the the McDavid effect, or from my generation, the Datsuk effect. Like when you're on a line with that player, there's so much
mm,
pressure to just get the puck to your scorer.
just watch them. Yeah,
Right, instead of actually playing in a system or anything, it's the idea is that, I need to get the puck to the guy who scores goals.
sure.
So and that can kind of screw up a unit, which is yeah, 9-0-2 in the last 11 for the Jets. That's
Pretty
fucking
fucking
nuts.
nice. That's nice.
Hellebuck is playing like, I mean, that's not a surprise. Connor Hellebuck is Connor
No.
Hellebuck. Yeah, no, this is it's very surprising. They're on a good run. Let's see if they keep it up. But right now, the West is littered with teams that I'm just not necessarily believing in. Like the Avs are 7-2-1, and we've got locker room comments from players going like, "Yeah,
Taves, yeah.
there's a lot of guys on our team that think they're good and they're not." And you're like, "You guys are 7-2-1. What are you talking about?"
Wasn't he talking about like because it was like a couple days after Rantanen came out and was like
Yeah.
talking schmack about someone
Yeah.
on their
Someone's dad or something like that.
someone's dad over in
Yeah.
Finland or something was just giving it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, and
that's
then, and then
nuts.
it was, I think it was a defenseman. I can't remember the defenseman, but yeah. So talking just massive shit. Like
Yeah,
the team is
Lekkinen
like,
stat. Yeah,
the team is having internal strife and they're fucking first in their division and 7-2-1. Like the Habs are fucking fine. Like they're going to be okay.
I don't know if I ever played on a hockey team like that where they were just so fucking good that like everyone was pissed off because they weren't like putting up Boston Bruins numbers last
Right.
year, right? Like it's just crazy.
Makes
It's
no
crazy.
sense. We'll see. I think we can kind of save the league wrap for next. In fact, the next episode we could probably do a mid-season check-in and an awards look at the moment. Who's the front
Okay,
runners?
if you say so.
Those always get contentious.
Sure thing.
I love that. All right, Taylor, you got anything else you wanna talk about?
Yeah, so the only thing I will say is if the Golden Knights and their fans want to get back on track, stop putting the word Knights into the national anthem. Okay, thanks, bye.
Stop doing that.
Yeah, don't do it. It sucks.
It's not
Gross.
okay. As somebody who grew up in Spokane and everybody yells Chiefs at the end of it, like I kind of understand, but it's
Yeah, so gross, dude. So annoying. There's
it's
a reason
tradition.
that nobody likes that team, dude. It is so bad.
It's tradition, and you don't fuck with tradition.
Yeah, that's one I would fuck with.
Jesus Christ. All right, folks. We appreciate you guys listening in and supporting the show. We hope you guys have a good time. We hope you guys had some laughs and you know a little bit more about hockey after watching one of our episodes. Please do us a favor. Jump on over to YouTube and subscribe to us and leave a nice review. Jump on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you're an audio listener and find us, subscribe to us, and leave a nice review on those platforms as well. Quick shout outs to Fire Chief John Miller for sponsoring the show. Longtime listener, longtime supporter. Guy's an absolute beauty. Thank you, John. Also, shout outs once again to the Hub, Monterey Cafe, and the Hockey Podcast Network. Also, DraftKings as well for you degenerate gamblers out there. Ooh, we could even do some odds next episode too. That'd be fun. We haven't done that in a little while. All right, Taylor, anything else?
That's it.
All right, folks. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.